I'm a Supreme Court justice, but I secretly fight injustice. I discovered Senator Williams taking bribes, Judge Rodriguez selling verdicts, Attorney General Thompson fixing cases. I couldn't stop them through legal means, so I used illegal methods. What I did over the past 3 years would shock the nation, but someone had to clean up the system from the inside. My name is Justice Marcus Chen. I'm 34 years old, and I'm the youngest person ever appointed to the Supreme Court. Harvard Law Review editor, federal clerk, appellate judge by 30, confirmed at 31 as generational legal mind. But what I've discovered has shattered my faith in everything I once believed. I was appointed to the Supreme Court 3 years ago. Senate Confirmation 78-22, praised as brilliant young constitutional scholar. The press called me future of American jurisprudence. If only they knew the truth. Growing up poor in San Francisco's Chinatown, I believed law was path to justice, scholarships to Stanford, then Harvard Law, top of my class. Supreme Court clerkship, meteoric rise. I thought I was entering Temple of Justice. Instead, I found marketplace of corruption. The corruption started becoming obvious immediately. Noticed patterns in lower court decisions. Cases involving wealthy defendants had unusual outcomes. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses recanted. Charges dropped. As youngest Supreme Court justice, I see appeals from every federal court. Pattern became clear. Money was buying justice, not occasionally, systematically. First major discovery was Senator Williams, banking committee chairman with influence over judicial appointments. I intercepted communications between Williams and pharmaceutical executives. Justice Parker's confirmation vote can be secured for $2 million, Williams wrote. He was selling Supreme Court confirmations. I gathered evidence quietly. My generation grew up digital. I knew encryption, coding, cyber forensics. Older justices dismissed me as tech-savvy kid. Perfect cover. I recorded phone calls, photographed documents, traced financial transfers. Williams had sold 12 federal judgeships and 3 Supreme Court votes. But when I tried official channels, investigation was blocked. FBI Director Morrison claimed insufficient evidence. Attorney General Thompson said political persecution. I realized they were protecting Williams because they were part of the system. That's when I became the phantom. Late nights in my apartment, I hacked government servers, used skills from my computer science minor at Stanford, accessed classified files showing massive corruption network. Judge Rodriguez of the Ninth Circuit was selling verdicts. Pharmaceutical companies paid $5 million per favorable ruling. Oil companies bought environmental case dismissals. Tech giants purchased antitrust immunity. I documented everything, created encrypted blockchain files with irrefutable evidence, but courts wouldn't hear cases against their own. So I went outside the system. I leaked Rodriguez's banking records to investigative journalists. Anonymous tips led to surveillance footage of him taking briefcases of cash. Within weeks, federal investigation began. But Rodriguez had protection. FBI raid was leaked in advance. Evidence disappeared. Witnesses developed memory problems. Case dismissed for prosecutorial misconduct. The corruption reached the top. Attorney General Thompson was orchestrating cover-ups. FBI Director Morrison was burying investigations. Even some Supreme Court colleagues were compromised. Justice Parker, whose confirmation Williams had sold, was making decisions benefiting his sponsors, voted consistently for pharmaceutical companies, oil interests, tech monopolies. I had evidence of his corruption but couldn't present it officially. Supreme Court doesn't investigate its own members. Congress was compromised. Executive branch was complicit. So I escalated operations, using phantom identity. I broke into Thompson's home office. My parkour training from college came in handy. Photographed files showing Operation Blind Justice, systematic corruption of federal courts. Thompson was coordinating with Morrison to place corrupt judges. They had a list of reliable candidates willing to sell decisions. Evidence was overwhelming, but system protected itself. Every official channel was compromised. I decided on nuclear option, created anonymous platform called Justice Files using advanced blockchain technology, posted encrypted evidence of corruption. Government couldn't shut it down because files were distributed across quantum encrypted servers worldwide. First release exposed Senator Williams, bank records, audio recordings, video surveillance, undeniable proof of selling judicial confirmations. Williams resigned within 48 hours. FBI had no choice but to investigate. Congressional hearings began. Second release. Targeted Judge Rodriguez. Financial records showing $47 million in payments for verdicts, email communications with corporate lawyers, photos of cash exchanges. Rodriguez was arrested, tried, convicted, sentenced to 25 years federal prison. Third release was bombshell. Attorney General Thompson's Operation Blind Justice files showed systematic corruption of federal judiciary. Thompson tried claiming files were fabricated, but forensic analysis proved authenticity. He resigned in disgrace. Successor launched massive investigation, but system fought back. FBI Director Morrison launched investigation into phantom identity, used full resources of federal government to identify me. They knew leak came from inside highest levels. I covered tracks carefully using advanced cybersecurity, but investigation was closing in. They analyzed writing patterns, technical methods, access logs. Process of elimination pointed toward Supreme Court. Chief Justice confronted me privately. "Marcus, I know it's you. This vigilante justice must stop." "Vigilante justice," I replied. "I'm exposing actual criminals. You're destroying confidence in our institutions. Our institutions destroyed themselves. I'm just documenting it. You're 34 years old. You have brilliant career ahead. Don't throw it away." "What career? Serving corrupt system? If you continue, you'll face prosecution for revealing truth, for theft of classified documents, computer crimes, breaking and entering. You've committed dozens of felonies." He was right. My methods were illegal, but legal methods had failed completely. Fourth release was most dangerous. Supreme Court itself. Justice Parker's corruption. Chief Justice's knowledge of cover-ups. Clerks taking bribes. This triggered constitutional crisis. If Supreme Court was compromised, who would provide justice? President demanded my identity. Congress threatened impeachment proceedings. FBI offered immunity for surrender, but I wasn't finished. Fifth release exposed the web completely. Connections between Williams, Rodriguez, Thompson, Morrison, Parker showed how corruption network operated. Financial flows, communication patterns, coordination meetings, everything documented with irrefutable evidence. Public outrage was unprecedented. Protests demanded complete judicial reform. Congress faced pressure for constitutional convention. Reform began immediately. New laws requiring financial transparency, independent oversight of federal judges. Criminal penalties for judicial corruption. Williams got 20 years prison. Thompson got 15 years. Morrison got 12 years. Parker was impeached and removed, but investigation into Phantom continued. They were closing in, had narrowed suspects to 3 Supreme Court justices. I made final decision. Rather than face exposure and prosecution, I would reveal myself, but on my terms. I called press conference. "Ladies and gentlemen, I am Justice Marcus Chen. I am also the Phantom." Room erupted. Reporters shouting questions, cameras flashing, constitutional crisis reaching peak. For 3 years, I've operated outside the law to expose corruption inside the law. I have no regrets. Justice Chen, do you realize you've committed federal crimes? I've committed crimes to stop greater crimes. Sometimes system is so corrupt that breaking law becomes moral imperative. At 34, you're throwing away unprecedented career. I'd rather sacrifice my career than my conscience. Will you resign from Supreme Court? I'll accept whatever consequences my actions demand. But corruption network is exposed. System can begin healing. Trial began 6 months later. Charged with 47 federal crimes, computer intrusion, theft of documents, breaking and entering. But public opinion had shifted. Polls showed 78% approval for my actions. Justice Chen became symbol of young generation fighting systemic corruption. Social media exploded with support. #Phantom Justice trended worldwide. Young people saw me as hero challenging corrupt establishment. Jury deliberated 8 hours. Verdict: guilty on all charges. Sentence: 8 years federal prison. But President commuted sentence to 1 year. Justice Chen broke law to serve higher justice. His generation won't tolerate corruption we've accepted. I served 10 months. Released early for good behavior. Lost Supreme Court position but gained something more valuable. System was cleaner. New oversight mechanisms prevented judicial corruption. Transparency requirements exposed conflicts. Criminal penalties deterred bribery. Today I teach cyber law at Stanford. Students ask if I regret my choices. I'm 35 now, I tell them. Started this fight at 31. My generation won't inherit a corrupt system without fighting back. My methods were illegal, but results speak for themselves. Dozens of corrupt officials imprisoned, system reformed. Public trust partially restored. When I discovered senators selling Supreme Court seats and judges auctioning verdicts, I couldn't stop them legally, so I stopped them illegally. Sometimes being a criminal is the only way to serve justice. The phantom may be gone, but the precedent remains. My generation is watching, because someone is always monitoring. Someone with tech skills, moral courage, and nothing to lose. Justice isn't just about following laws. Sometimes it's about rewriting them.